It's crazy that the answers nobody had I found when searching for myself. Let's toast to victory. Pick up your glass, show me love for once. Let's toast to victory. Welcome to Choppin It with Bhuda T. I am the Lord of the entire, the Lord of the every, Lord of the every single, Lord of the jig, Lord of the fit, Lord of the babies, Lord of the light skin baby daddies, Lord of the mic check. Super was glistening out there in Cape Town. I know you've seen me. Lord of the still got the energy in Jan when everybody's dying out. Lord of the leg game is still out. Lord of the formal kick with the jorts. Stop fucking with me.
Sure.
Lord of kicking off 2025 knee deep in the fab because I don't have a boss. I am the boss. And with me, final fucking lead today for the chop. My longtime friend, my good buddy, old pal. Ubonkosi, Kidex. The King X 88 King, ladies and gentlemen.
Finally, brother. Season 4.
Hey, you talked us for a long time, which is crazy. Then you on season 4 is completely nuts.
It's nuts, but I think it's divine.
It's divine, man.
100%, brother.
So
I appreciate the smoke.
Yes, hell yeah. I think another round of applause for Harry. At our new space, let us know how you guys feel about it. We decided to get out of the studio for a bit, go outside, play with other kids.
Thanks for having me, brother.
A water toast, a water cheers.
100%.
What were you about to say?
I was saying, thanks for having me. Finally.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, welcome.
Thanks, brother. Good to be here.
How
Shout
you
out on this
feeling?
platform. Incredible work. You documenting the culture. I never, when we first met, I never
would have thought.
I never would have thought it. But yeah, amazing.
Yeah. What did it seem more of a you thing to do?
No.
Neither of us, no?
But I think more you than me,
Yeah.
Yeah, but in my view of the landscape, you are meant to be the rapper that goes on and actually just becomes the biggest thing.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah. And I mean, the story's still writing itself, so
yeah.
Don't rule that one out.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't. Yeah. So what's the landscape for your story?
The landscape for my story is a bit complicated. Yeah.
I mean, from how you saw it coming in.
From the word go, I thought...
would assume it looks different now.
It definitely does. And look, I'll tell you, from coming in, I never thought it would be what it is now. You know? Coming in, I thought, let me do the thing. Let me see where it takes me. And look, for me, I'll be frank. Me even ending up a rapper was because I made a decision to challenge myself at something that I was really bad at. In fact, a lot of the things that I pursue for me now are things that I feel like from get-go, I don't have the talent. So I always gravitate towards the things that I'm not actually talented at.
Crazy.
So there's only one thing, and as far as I can remember, that I feel like I was naturally talented at, and that was soccer. But for everything else, Mfana, SA wouldn't know me as a rapper if I didn't get up one day and decide to pursue something I was really bad at. So yeah.
How do you even find out you're bad at rap?
When you pick up that pen the very first day.
But why are you picking it up if you don't feel like it's even in you? You're just looking around and feeling like you might want to get a feel.
So for me, it started with 8 Mile, right? the day I watched 8 Mile and I saw what Eminem was doing, I was like, Mfana, this thing is something about it. Like, for me, I think also what attracted me to it was the fact that from where I was to the distance where he was and how he could manipulate words and do all these amazing gymnastics.
Yeah.
I felt like, yo, I'm so far from that place, but that's a journey that I want to take, you know?
Yeah.
So I can tell you on the day I started, I was the worst rapper alive. And that probably lasted for 2 years straight, brother. Just working myself from ground level to, you know? So for me, it was never overnight, dog. I know for you, it's a different story. When I met you, you'd already been rapping for what, like a year?
Yeah.
Seriously, in terms of just taking it seriously, you know?
Yeah, something like that.
So that's a fairy tale story when you look at the fact that when we met, I'd been rapping for maybe 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. And I think for me, I think rhyming was natural.
Yeah, boy.
Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Just before we even get to the rapping part of it, just rhyming was natural. And I guess also just from my consumption of the rap way.
So that's where we differ. Because for me, there was no consumption.
None.
No consumption. Kwaito man, R&B man. And then obviously the classic joints that the folks would play around the house.
What's that, like the park?
Nah. No rap.
Oh, you mean classics, classic music, classical.
Yeah, like the...
I'm an unprofessional man. First shooter of the year. Forgive me.
So for me, there was no database that I was working from. It was literally, it started with Eminem.
So it literally kicks off 8 Mile.
Yeah.
And 8 Mile you watch before consuming any of the music.
Yeah, pretty much. Because 8 Mile then leads me to the soundtrack 8 Mile.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yo, incredible.
Yeah.
And then I get into Get Rich or Die Trying. And then it pretty much sparked from there.
Shit, that's crazy. Because that's probably...
That's 2002. 2003. Yeah.
Yeah, 2002, 2003, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Crazy, no?
Yeah, a bit. Because I'm trying to think. I think, yeah. I mean, I may have written my first rhyme around that same time. But I never really, was actively a rapper.
So what
I feel like people always wanted me to be a rapper. It's like what you just said now. It's something that always kind of was fitting for my story.
That's what I'm saying.
It hunted
That's
me.
what I'm saying.
It's like how you open this chop. It's like people see me and like, yeah, you were supposed to be the biggest thing. It's like, based on what?
Yeah, but I think in keeping with that word, right? We're still alive.
Yeah.
So whose time are we on? Are we on an onlooker, a guy on Facebook who's saying, you know? Yeah, the narrative takes its own shape, dog. I mean, the author is the greatest author of all time.
Of course, the greatest pen.
So you just gotta allow it, and you gotta let the story unfold.
Maybe let's get into that, the actual story.
Okay.
And where does the story start? Our story, or you just want to get straight to your Kerstan story? Does our story matter?
I don't know. Do people care for it?
I don't know. Does our story matter?
Yeah, so I think there's two people who care about it. So
we met on a remix.
We did. By some idiot. That's what he goes by now.
Oh shit, is that?
Yeah.
Because I saw, so he did Scooter Baba.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, I saw that at the end of the Scooter Baba remix.
Yeah.
And it said...
by some idiot.
Yeah, by some idiot.
Yeah,
so I was like, wow, okay.
That's your boy.
Oh, that's him out there.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Shout out to him. So we know him as CJ, obviously,
100%.
at that time.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell it? I can unpack it with me now. Where I know him
this is
from.
your chop. Like,
so CJ is a guy who I met through Intwana yam Stash, young Stash.
Shout out to Stash
from the East, you know.
Mm.
He's recording Etsakan. Etsakan in the East. So he tells me, yo, pull through on weekends. There's this thing we're doing called Quest Records, headed up by a guy called Tyve. Pull through.
Yeah, shout out to Quest and Tyve.
Shout out to the boys.
Yeah, that's the genesis.
100%. So he's like, yo, pull through. Let's see what we can cook, you know? So I pull up, meet the fellas. CJ is one of the artists there. We've got
so CJ was a Quest Records artist?
100%.
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
So I meet him, and then we do a record together. And that's the first record that I did. So I kind of then became a regular at the spot. And I started building with him. And then he lived in Bram. So, because I was at UJ, occasionally, Mangbuya I would touch down in Bram.
Yeah.
So he had the record posted up.
Yeah.
He told me, yo, I want to remix this joint. I want to put you and some homie on it. I was like, okay, no, let's do it. Laced my verse. And then a few weeks later, he sent me the full version. Either that or I was there when you laced.
Yeah,
Not
you
sure.
were. Yeah,
was I there?
You were there. Yeah, you were there. So for me, he approached me in the street just because I had the swag. So he was like, he actually wanted me to be on the vid,
just as a model. Crazy.
Pretty much, yeah. He fucked with the swag because I guess I was putting them through it in Brown. So he was like, yo, I always see you and you always head of fresh. I'm going to be shooting for
Pull Up
the song. So he had the original at the time. It's like, I'm doing a remix for it and I want you to come out here, boy. And
but you know, when you put it like that, Mfana, it sounds so... Like, look at the story.
The fairy tale.
That's what I'm saying. The greatest author
of all
without
time.
a doubt. Because him just deciding off the rip, I'm going to go find a guy off the street. This is a guy who lives in my building. And I'm going to pull up on him and tell him, yo, I need you. Yeah. Firstly, how hard is it for niggas to pull up on another nigga to tell him, yo,
that was a crazy pull up. Yeah.
But he knew what he was actually
the stitching
together, which... Okay.
So when he told me about the joint, I was like, yo, so send me the joint. I was like, yo, I kind of can rap. Let me see if I could, do something for it. And then I wrote the verse. And then he told me when you niggas were recording. And I said, yo, okay, I put it. Well, actually, he made me rap it for him before.
Fair. Fair, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm supposed to be just a model nigga. Yeah, it was like, yo...
Yeah, you killed that.
Rap it for me, yeah. So I rapped it.
You killed that song, actually.
Yeah. Shout out.
And that's when I knew, we've got a problem. We've got a problem.
Shout out. Yeah, because even his reaction when he made me rap it for was like, he was like, oh shit, because he didn't expect that at all. Like, he was just like, oh, okay, yeah, let me hear the verse. He championed the beat.
That's crazy.
So I do the verse and it's like, wait, what? So then he called his nigga. He's like, yo, come hear this man's verse, man. Like, what is this? And then I guess it was a similar reaction when we were recording it in the studio. Yeah, and I kind of did body the
remember that session now. I remember that session. Incredible, dog. So I think from there on, then I think we started building from there.
Yeah, because we were the top two verses, respectfully, to everybody who was on the joint. Because I also was like, oh, okay, this nigga's nice. Cause I think you niggas, after we recorded that, I think you might have played some shit that you were on other shit. I was like, oh shit, the nigga is kind of fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was decent back then. But yeah, I think that's what sparked everything, you know?
Yeah.
I think realizing that this is a fire nigga, he's doing what I'm doing, and iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So we started building from there. Yeah, I think that's the genesis of.
Yeah, definitely. Then you become more of a Landon Bram, like more
100%.
often nigga. And
So
yeah, and
during that time, I'm obviously still doing the UJ thing, you know?
What are you doing, Anja, at UJ?
I'm studying BCom finance.
Clever nigga living.
Doing terribly, simply because I think the hip hop bug had already bit me, you know? So the being distracted for me, I think, became one of those things where my studies would suffer. And what I can actually tell you about those times is whenever I had to be fully committed to my studies is when I was the most inspired to write.
Yeah.
So when it's exam season, Fana, that's when for me it's like, yo,
the pen is
it the textbook or the exam pad where I'm just doing my own things, you know? So I think eventually that tug of war and culminated in just the rap, or rather the studies, kind of suffering. Yeah, so much so that when I made my debut on the full clip, I was coming straight from an exam in the evening. Like Hip-Hops had just scooped me up, I think Benkatang on 9. Scooped me up, and then I told him, yo, there's a situation in, what's the area? Hyde Park.
Yeah.
There's a situation in Hyde Park. I want to just make a turn there. Let me see if, you know, there's anything that could happen. So Hip-Hop's always supportive. Shout out to Hip-Hops if he's watching this. Shout out to Imams. The fam has been mad supportive, so that's
and
that's
they already
a blessing
know
on
you
its own.
you living it. The rapper man living.
Yeah, but nothing serious. I mean, it's the pipe dream living it. Yeah. So they're like, okay, now let's peep. Let's go out there. So I go out there, obviously, and yeah, I get to rap on the show after convincing C's. But just to show you, Uti, I went from the exam room straight to rapping on the radio show.
And you
on that
were
same night.
The first nigga on the full clip. First ever.
Yeah, 100%.
Crazy.
100%. What happened was, the previous week, they announced, Uti, yo, from next week, we're opening the doors. If you're a rapper and you do this type of thing, pull up. So for me, it's surprising that niggas wouldn't pull up. I thought I'd get there and
everybody's gonna be out there. Yeah.
So I get there and it's just me, dog, you know? And for me, I felt like, okay, fair. Let me do what I gotta do either way. Let me do what I came here to do. And I guess the rest is documented history.
So yeah, the rest is documented history, which means you sort of, because I guess everybody then hears you on there and says, oh, actually, this is a real thing.
But yeah, I can outspit that nigga. Which is what I hope it was.
Yeah.
Because that's hip-hop energy, you know? You need to hear someone and say, I want to rap after that nigga, you know? And yeah.
What then develops between you and C's at the time? Is there anything, or is he just saying, oh, that's just the kid who rapped, whatever, let him go home, I don't really care?
So what happens was, I come back the next week, and the week after that. So obviously, there's now a level of rapport that I've got with C's. So for me, by the time I come back for the third week, obviously there's a lot more rappers that are showing up, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, my goal was always to use that platform as like a leaping a leaping point. So my goal was to get on the playlist because I knew I would say, okay, I've got actual songs that I want to get played on the radio. So I don't even know how I got Caesar's direct email, but that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
I had his email and I would send him songs now for the Hot 99.
Yeah.
And then I kept doing that for like 20 weeks. And I think that then I think showed people who would say, okay, this guy's not just a rapper. He's got the song making
you
ability.
could make songs.
100%. So
which I always envied. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I was intentional about though, in terms of developing that, you know?
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time, dog, just working on like specific pockets of like my artistry. So working on the cypher verse.
Yeah.
Working on the song verse. Working on the verse on an R&B joint by a rapper. You know that prototype type of verse.
Yeah, the feature verse.
Working on the hook on a terrible beat. So picking a terrible beat and saying, let's grind out a hook. You know?
What does that even mean when you're doing that?
I don't know, but for me, it made sense in my head because I knew I had to equip myself with very unique skill sets that I feel like embody the artist that I want to be.
What makes you want to prepare for a terrible beat, though? Specifically.
I think sometimes that's the only beat you get. And you got to make the song.
And you still got to find a way to make a fire track.
And for me, that's the position I was in when I was making that specific record. Because when I was working on that terrible beat, that's the only beat I had. And I had to cook something. So I realized that it's forcing me to dig a bit deeper. So when I do get a fire beat, it's going to be a lot easier for me to come up with a hook. So
that's so crazy because it was so different for me. Like I was just rapping.
Yeah, I feel
so much so that even us being boys kicking it all the time, when you went to the full clip, I still didn't go. Like for the longest time.
Yeah, you didn't see it as a...
I was never chasing the become a rapper dream. To even start making songs came from XO. He was like, yo, you actually kind of crazy at this. We might have to see how it goes with you in the studio. So even you doing that didn't click anything to me to say, yo, go out there and now it goes.
That's wild.
I was just like, yeah, I'm fire where I'm at. Like,
so it's almost as if people have to push you into the spaces
into the pockets,
are like, yo, when I imada, stand here.
So like everything you're talking about now, I only started doing when we got to Cash Time. Cause then it's like we've got KO saying, yo. And then obviously we're making songs and then the verses can't bring the full clip level verses. Now we gotta make the song verses, which is another reason why I'm like, I was always envious, because like you'd get it right.
What you into this man?
Like I have to be sent back and like, that's not the right flow for this handle. Maybe find a different one and instead of there. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but I do feel like, you know, the journey and the end goal that you had was consistent with that path, you know?
Yeah.
Where you wanted to go. That's why now you full-time chopping.
Yeah.
You're a culture specialist, a guy who's a connoisseur in the space.
Yeah.
For you, it might never have been about, let me get in there and rip niggas' heads off. It might never have been about that, you know? It might have been about, let me get in that space and know how it's done.
Yeah, so I always was just living it, which looking back now in retrospect actually might have been a great key as to how things happen for me. Because when you grow up and realize that you shouldn't chase, you should attract. I was
100%.
For me, I just was being who I had always been.
Yeah.
So I was like that because I grew up
That's what you knew.
jam. Yeah, I
That's
jammed the rap.
100%.
I've jammed the rap so much. I know how to rap, so I rap. And now I'm sitting down talking about the culture because I've been in it and lived it.
100%.
So it's like it's never really about, oh yeah, I got this thing that I'm chasing that I want to become. I'm just currently being who I am at that point in time.
It's funny you should say that because when I look at my perspective, total opposite.
Yeah.
For me, it's almost as if I was a clean slate. So from a life perspective, my life, I feel like I came in as a clean slate. So no defined anything. So this is what you like, this is what you don't like. I think a lot of the things were intentional about this is how I want to build myself.
Yeah.
This is, hey, I want to add this to my thing. Hey. So there was no specific thing that I can say I could identify as this is who I was being. For me, it's almost
all orchestrated.
It's almost an art project. It's a let's build this person intentionally. Let's add this. Let's add this, you know? And the reason I used the like and dislike thing is because that's something that really shows itself a lot in my life. For me, a lot of the things I don't feel any particular way about. I decide how I want to feel about it. Hence with hip hop, when it sparked my interest, it didn't matter whether I was good at it or not. I could decide, okay, we're deciding. We are working on this now. And let's see how far we can finesse the thing, you know? And I think that's maybe how we differ as people. You know, some people are created with a specific identity from the get-go, which this person will. And then some people are given a box of crayons and an empty piece of paper and say, yo, just go out there,
and go
and
crazy.
design yourself, you know? So
that's crazy and fire because I think what that came with for you is a certain level of discipline, which I obviously clearly lacked on a crazy level. We all know how Smash this was. So because there's no emotion attached to what you're doing. So that means at the top of whatever you're doing is never how you feel about it. Like, I'm literally
I get you.
How I feel about it, nigga. Like,
I get you. If you're
I
not
don't
feeling
feel
it, if you're not feeling it, it's not happening.
That also impacts what you're gonna get
outcome.
from me. Yeah,
100%.
And you're a nigga who's more, oh no, I'm just working. I'm working
we just
on
doing this thing. We
For
try
me,
to see
never
where it's
was
gonna
work.
Yeah?
Never was work until it became work. And still I was wired the way that I am. Which,
I feel
when we talk about now, kind of makes sense as to why we were such a perfect duo.
100%.
Because we're
two sides of the same coin.
Of the same coin, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy, dog. Because I do feel like I could watch a version of myself in you and look at this guy just effortlessly gliding through everything that I had to sit at home and spend 10,000 hours, you know? And for me, I think it also just allowed me to then accept my path and realize, Uguti, yo, these are the settings you came with. Certain things come easier for you, but you knew when you came into hip hop that it was never easy for you from the get-go.
Yeah. You knew you had to
You knew
fight
Uguti, you were really going against the grain from the get-go. So I had to accept that, and I had to then make sure Uguti I stick my path and just follow through.
And now, of course, this is a story you've told a lot of times, so people know how you get into cash time and what happens at cash time and whatever. So where does that story start changing for you? I'm already gone now. You niggas have already betrayed me and everything.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you brought that up because I've had to sit through this narrative for 3 seasons. And it's only fitting that to start season 4 off, we correct it. You know what I mean? Let's set the story straight.
You feel like that's what I say? Do I say that?
Yeah. Any chance you get.
Every chance I get.
Every single.
I say that's how I felt.
Okay. Yeah. So let's then look at it.
Set it straight, big dog.
There's 3 sides to a story, right? I think you can potentially give us 2, and I can give 2 as well.
Okay, break that down.
Because you can give the subjective story, which is your story, and then you can give an objective story where you remove yourself and actually speak about the facts. Essentially, what I'm saying is our objective stories should be the same story.
They should be.
And then our subjective ones will be unique.
Yeah. Which I feel I've told both stories.
Never.
No,
I'd like us to try and tie together the objective story.
All 4 of them. Or just the objective. All 3. The subjectives you don't care about.
The subjective for me, I feel like is rooted in one's experience of what actually happened. But it's never really the actual story. Yeah,
your experience and what actually happened are 2 different things.
Because there's a backdrop of trauma that's infused in your subjective.
Yeah. And also
story.
There's emotion attached to
100%.
Which then paints for you what you see. And how you...
And it steals away the actual story.
The objective, yeah.
Let's get to the actual story.
Yeah.
Let's unpack it here tonight.
Tonight. Let's get
objective
it.
Story.
This is your chop.
So the objective story, I think goes something like this, right? So we've are now on a journey where it's just you and me.
Yeah, this is after
this
AB
is post
Crazy.
AB. We've dropped a mixtape.
Rap Ain't Dead is out here, radio.
Yeah. We've dropped about 2 singles, if I remember correctly.
Nobody.
And time goes by.
Time goes by, yeah.
Fire. And our employers have looked at the dynamic of, I think, the entire label, and they've picked a specific direction, right? And they've obviously made a decision to say they're splitting us up. So once that decision is made, remember, we came in as solo acts, right? In as much as you are the person who brought me in. You're the person who referred KO and said, yo, I got a homie who spits. Come check him out.
Well, C's was your first reference. But
okay. That's okay, that helps my story. That helps my story. But I want to paint the actual my version of the objective, you know? So you're the person who referred me, who brought me into the fold. And now these people have decided to mash us up into not really a group, but because we've done this super project, you guys are sort of going to run with it, and then you guys will fall into your own places. We were never going to be a tear gas type of setup.
Yeah, it was always the convo when we came in. Like, yo, we're going to do this handle. You guys will run as a group maybe for an album, and then which is why AB was like, oh, come on out. I feel like I've done enough 100%. Of that. I'm out of here.
100%. So we get to a point where they're like, okay, guys, this is post the project. You guys need to go solo.
Yeah.
So the convo that you have with KO, I will not be privy to, because that convo is pertaining to what they intend to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
The convo they have with me, you will not be privy to, because he'll have it with me, you know? And what then happens is he is the first artist out.
When everybody goes solo.
Yeah. And he loads me onto his breakout single.
Yeah.
So he's the actual guy who's employing us. And he decides,
he's the boss.
He decides who's got proximity to what. In terms of who's being brought into the label, who's being brought closer, who we taking on the road, who we doing this and that with, you know? I mean, I don't even have a song by then.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I essentially don't even have a leg to stand on, because I'm essentially tagging on to this guy and doing shows with him because I'm on his song and he's taking me wherever he's performing. And essentially, he's communicating to me that you're going to be next up in terms of next to release on
next
the label.
To go, yeah.
So the call came from the top.
Yeah.
The real issue, I think, lies in whatever you communicated with him. And whatever you guys were unable to resolve, for me, no, for real.
No, for real.
Whatever you guys were unable to resolve, I think led to a lot of the
messiness,
the downfall in the relationship. I don't know how you see it.
I've told that story. That's why I'm like, I've told the objective story.
Then how?
Even when I chop it with him.
But how do you then?
I still just throw that around just to laugh at it.
Okay, fair.
Because I mean, also.
But if you paint it as niggas left you for dead, it's also quite misleading. It's also quite misleading.
Is it really?
It's very misleading.
Mm-hmm. Break that down.
Niggas didn't leave you for dead. 2014, right? You put out a record. You put out a record called Day and Night.
Night and Day.
Night and Day.
Yeah, you were on the hook.
I was on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
That was produced by Mesh Beats.
Yeah, shout out to Mesh.
I sent you that record.
Yeah, I almost said we made that record at your crib. Yeah,
I sent you that record. Right? This is 2014.
Yeah.
This is a 15. Guy who's left you for dead. He's sending you this record to say, my nigga, I've thrown a hook on, I've thrown a verse, jump on it, run with it. This is not someone who's left you for dead. I think it's important to just highlight that nature of deed could not be from someone who's left you for dead. Especially from a timeline perspective, when you look at when it was, you know, it was after niggas had really then done the Caracara, maybe put out the first single, things were starting to move.
Yeah.
And then to be able to say, yo, here's a record.
Here's a bone.
Here's a record. See if it's something that you fuck with. It turned out you fucked with it. And then we put that out. But I think obviously maybe how you felt about the entire situation, you hadn't necessarily voiced it or had those chats with niggas, because even in how we promoted the song and how we moved in terms of just getting it out there, we could have done it in a more integrated way. But I still stand by the fact that because I was working in an establishment where I was just showing up as an employee.
Yeah, you were clocking in and clocking out.
I was clocking in. When a call comes from the top, my hands are tied, dog. My hands are tied. Now imagine if you hop off the bus and now I decide, hi,
Yeah.
then we both dead. we both dead, for
Yeah,
real.
but you know that's the young nigga mentality.
It is, yes. Yeah.
Which is where that feeling at the time came from.
Fair. I understand that 100%.
Yeah. But we had those conversations, and
No,
I have expressed that.
The chats we've had as men, right?
Yeah.
But the audience
on
are
the
not
platform.
crazy.
Yeah. No, which is good
Yeah.
that you're
yeah. For me, you must look at it. And I think since we've explained the two different sides of the coin, it's important to try and view the situation also from those different vantage points of like, but what was this nigga thinking, you know? Then I think it becomes easier to understand what okay, X was actually just doing this thing that he's been doing for however long. But let me add also another layer that maybe will help you understand me better as a person.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've grown up. So from grade 1 to matric, I went through 7 schools.
Sheesh.
7 different schools, dog.
That's crazy.
So I was a pack up and leave nigga. At any given time, we moving as the fam. We in the new neighborhood. I'm starting afresh. And I think what that did to me over time was it, from an attachment perspective, I don't get too attached to a lot of things, you know? It's easy for me to eject and to move with the thing, which I think could paint me as maybe a disloyal nigga. It could paint me as a non-real nigga.
Yeah, from different perspectives.
From the perspective of someone who
whoever
maybe,
you're leaving.
So view it from the perspective of maybe a guy who grew up in Soweto, lives in Soweto. Soweto is gonna have kids, he's gonna get married there, he's gonna die there.
Yeah.
He's used to this community here. These are the people I've known my whole life, and that's it.
And he's committed to it.
That's it. So he'll view it a specific way. He'll say, nah. But when you hear the context of the life journey of this person, and what...
So you mean when you then leave the hood, he'll feel like,
that
the man,
same sentiment will be echoed to say, you can't trust niggas.
Why did he not?
Yeah, bro.
He left us out here in the hood.
100%. And for me, I think that's part of who I am, dog. I have to accept that about myself. But obviously, with age, you try and root out maybe the toxic element in it. Tell you a crazy story. When I was in grade 9, right? I was in Boxburg High. I'd already been told, Wuti, yo, end of first term, we out of here. We moving to Joburg South. I didn't even tell any of my friends. They came back second term.
And you're just not there?
I was gone.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I was gone. You know?
Didn't even say, yo, nigga, you didn't do the sentimental goodbyes and the long hugs and, fuck, it's been good.
I didn't, because I'd done that so many times before that.
You're done with that.
It hits you, even you as the man who has to go through that, you know? So because I'd done that, and remember, these are your formative years. I'm in grade 9. So because I've done the other one, let me try the other one and see if the other one works better.
They just snatch out of
They're
it.
just enough. And a lot of those guys I met now at UJ, when I'm now back from the Free State. Because I did leave. So when I left for Boxwick High, I went to now Joburg South, and then I went to Diversity High in the South. When I left in grade 11 from Diversity High, I didn't make the same mistake. I told niggas, yo.
So you felt like it was a mistake?
Yeah, because I could feel, Gucci, there was no closure about it, So I told niggas, yo, it's up. And I think a lot of the people who I was cool with from Diversity High, that relationship, we kept in touch, So the relationships didn't just suddenly go up in smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the niggas you left in grade 9?
So when I meet them now in varsity, I'm fine now. It's strange. But it's like, yo, the homie. But it's like,
oh yeah, the nigga I used to know.
Yeah, it's weird. And I can understand that. Because it's like, hey man, maybe it's something that they've buried deep down in there, but it's like you don't even know what to relate
kids,
on.
Though, also at that
100%.
point. So it's like it hurts for like a month, and then it's like,
but it also becomes like a strange memory of like, but why do I feel
man,
why do I feel strange in Yana about this man, So that is one of the layers that I think is important in just understanding the type of person I am. It's quite detrimental for me in my adult life, especially in my profession, because now you need to build a community. We're in the era now where an artist needs a core following. And if you, in the times we're living in, if you service your core strictly and you forget about trying to do mass numbers and hit the whole country, you can survive,
Yeah.
So it's very detrimental for a guy like me who probably has never cared for that. And your core audience maybe views you as like, this guy is so detached. He's so aloof.
Just doesn't care about us.
Like he doesn't care. And, it's one of those things that could be misinterpreted.
What you just broke down about yourself, that's reminded me of something Toon said about me, because that also screams at how completely polar opposite to that I am. Like Toon once said to me, I have never seen somebody who works at relationships as much as you do. It's like, it's like my relationship with my friends, my relationship, like I always want to get to the bottom of what happened. How did we get it wrong? How do we figure it out? Like, I always was that type
you're definitely on that. You're definitely on that. And I've actually been studying people who do that really well. My sister has pretty much experienced the same thing, right? She's brilliant at it.
Yeah.
So what's my excuse?
Yeah.
What's my excuse, really? But obviously, it's not for a lack of trying. I think for me, the journey of my life has been about self-discovery. And notice self-discovery speaks about this man is unpacking himself.
Yeah.
That's the primary focus, right? So you then get to a stage where you have kids and now it's no longer about yourself. And you have to take whatever level of self-actualization you've reached and pack it up. That's what you're running with. That's the man that you're running as.
You're closing up shop and have to run as that man.
Yeah, because when are you going to get time? You need to...
Yeah, you need to
these kids are more important than you. So if you show up as a 40% self-actualized man,
that's going to have to cut it.
And you're going to have to move with that unless you don't participate in their lives and you carry on trying to fill up your cup. But then that is very detrimental.
I feel you. You're absolutely right. But is that healthy for... But I feel like
for the child, for the kids.
Not just that, but for the whole family. Because it's not just the kids that have to live with just that 40. It's the whole setup.
Let's ask this question rather. Mm-hmm. What are the alternatives?
It's to find a way to make time to still pour more gas.
I think that's what your human nature will be inclined to do, right? Because you won't totally pack up shop. You'll try and find pockets of time where you'll still pour into. But that work is done, dog. That work is done. And I say that because you've got an actual living version that you've brought into the world with, it's got the 40% settings in there. Here it is. And now you have to almost work that 40% and try and cultivate it and shape it into being better than you.
Yeah, I was about to say the work that you then tap into, I think, still pours the gas into your 40 because it takes for you to learn more and to be able to deal with what you have on your hands.
You know what I realized? Mm-hmm. I realized that the only way to move from that 40 is by working this 40.
Yeah, working, which is what I'm saying. With
because
the work you do there.
This 40 is a mirror, right? It's a mirror.
Fire.
And this is your only chance. And it just so happens to hit both birds with the same stone. So it doesn't appear as to be working on you while you're working on it. Mm-hmm. But the end result is that you come out a better person.
Yeah, as you move along, you realize the work that it's doing on you.
100%.
So when do you, where's the breakdown now at you just going into the office and getting your job done at Castown? What's the breakdown for you as a man? Like, where do
the wheels fall off?
Yeah, what's the crumble? And not like the commercial version of the story of, oh yeah, I couldn't drop this, that, and that. Like from retrospect now, like, because these are things you've sat down with.
So the breakdown, I think in hindsight, when I look at it, I can tell you that the artist they were shaping me into was a fraction of who I am.
Fire. Okay.
Essentially. And when I sort of grew beyond those borders and wished to express beyond that limited scope, we were then working, I guess, on two different projects, essentially. Mm-hmm. So this shows itself in a number of occasions. So firstly, with a song like Cooler Bag, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of my favorite Kidex joints.
So Cooler Bag was recorded in 2013. Mm-hmm. It was meant to be the first record that I put out. In fact, it was meant to be a posse cut with everyone on the label. Yeah. And then, obviously, the Pops decided, yo, I think you need to run with it. We're going to remove all the other verses.
Because you had fucked it up.
So,
yeah.
So it becomes a cut that's ready to go, top of the year. And then I think the Pops bumps into now Caricature and the sound. So he decides, yo, actually, forget everything else. This is the sound that needs to be the label sound. Yeah. And we need to have every man wear this sound in its different shades and colors, essentially, you know? So a song like Cooler Bag gets pushed
Yeah, it just gets thrown.
Although it actually gets
thrown away,
tossed by the sideway, you know? Yeah. So that never drops. And as an artist, you kind of look at that song and you feel like, I'd really like my audience to hear me sounding like this, you know? So that never obviously happens. And we drop a song called Bussin' Special, which does really well. With the follow-up, we've now spoken about the fact that we don't have a follow-up that we've worked on. But there's this Cooler Bag record that's there. And that Cooler Bag record is still being overlooked, you know?
Still like, nah, forget that.
So automatically, as an artist, you feel a bit disgruntled. Okay. Anyway, the Pops drops his album. He goes on the album run. I'm being told, Uguti, you need to also be working on your project. So that's what I'm doing in the backdrop, working on my stuff. And mind you, at this time, I'm making music that's true to me, dog.
Yeah, because I was about to say, so while you're being left to work on that, you're being left to work on that with the template you've been given as far as what we should be working on here at the stable, at the office. Where
template.
As far as Angiti, they said, okay, Cooler Bag, no. Bussin' Special, yes. Because of certain things that are being done on the record.
Yes.
Sound,
okay.
approach.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
So that instruction hasn't been given per se.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because we were never trusted with here's the instruction, go out there and go crazy. No, it was more of this is what we're doing. I'm going to come in, I'm going to send you soundscapes, listen to these beats, approach them like this. Okay, handle it from this angle, you know? That's essentially how we'd been creating during that time, you know? So after the post, so I create the project, right? Create the project, I send it in. So it's demos. I've told the story so many times. I'm sorry for everyone who's heard it before. I send it in. It's demo recordings that I've done at home.
Yeah.
So the projection is not 100%. I could be recording it with whatever voice just to put down the thing, right? But as an artist, I think you have the ear. We're too busy
we're on the road
to sit you niggas to hold your hands and whatever the case is. Go in there, make your body of work, present it. Yeah, bro? Present it. Bad news, it's not the one. Yeah, bro? So the call that I then get on with the Pops, I think there's a convo we had where he was like, okay, maybe 4 of the records we could actually salvage. And then we can build from that 4. And then, so I'm even now negotiating the fact that it's not an album, gay. Let's just call it a mixtape.
Yeah, tape.
And just to get it out. So I think that ends up being obviously approved to say, okay, if you're just going to call it a young tape, it's fine. So...
What happened? At this point, you still haven't followed up Bussin' Special, eh?
No, I have. I've dropped 7.
Okay, yeah. 7 was with Mosley, ne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, Cooler Bag actually ended up leaking also. There was a Facebook link that was already doing numbers, Joe. Like I think on about 30K downloads that we had to now essentially put the song out because
the download error.
Yeah, this is the data file host. So we had to, because the song is already out there, we have to now get someone online to make an artwork for it and essentially just catch up to the motion of the song. So those two songs essentially were post Basin Special. So then we end up then putting the tape out. We re-record the tape verbatim, right? And then we put it out, and then...
And you had to force this tape out.
I had to force it, yeah.
And the label is saying...
We're
hands off.
Yeah, it's on you.
You're going to have to do that on your own. Yeah.
So...
Yeah, like you said,
end
we've
up
heard
putting
the
it
story
down
1,000 times. Yeah.
So obviously, then it's... You look at the fact that, again, me dropping is also like a thing, you know? It's twice now. With Cooler Bag, I couldn't drop. With this one, I couldn't. So I can't actually do what
you want to do.
What I'm inclined to want to do. And at the same time, I understand because I'm in the space, because I'm here to be guided and led by the more experienced OGs that I'm working under. But there's this thing, you know? There's this thing that I've created. Can we do something with it? And obviously that couldn't really be honored. So for me, I think it dawned on me to say, okay, we don't have the same vision. We don't have the same idea of who I'm supposed to be in the space, you know? And I think it it also comes from the point that I made earlier when I tell you the fact that I'm a blank canvas who's intentionally added specific colors, and life has thrown specific colors on there, obviously through the journey. But a lot of it has been what it is, and none of it was like, this is how the guy was made. He wasn't made. It's like, an example is the misconception about Kidex is that out gas.
Yeah, because that's how it was sold.
You see what I mean? But is that not a small fraction of who I am?
It is. It is one that was made very big.
So they took a small part of who I am, and they enlarged that.
Yeah.
And now I'm trapped in that identity.
I think because it felt like it was your best pocket and your most relatable pocket.
I can definitely agree with that. I think that makes sense, right? But my understanding is that even the pocket that you think is my best pocket, I'm not even that guy.
Which has always been crazy. Yeah.
So what more can I achieve with the pocket of the guy who I
actually am? Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I mean? So for me, it became that tug of war of like, okay, I'm great at this pocket, but the pocket of who I really am, dog, I can play that pocket better than anyone. No one can even...
Of course.
Imagine stepping into that pocket.
Which is the same with any and every artist. It's like the pocket of who you actually are.
Yes.
Nobody can ever come fuck with you out there, no matter what.
100%.
Yeah.
So it became that, dog. It became, am I going to run with the pocket that... it's almost like a caricature. Am I going to run with the caricature version of myself? Or am I going to run with myself? Yeah, bro?
Yeah.
And the choice was very simple for me.
Do you feel like you then get to rap life and are able to run with your actual self? Or do you do a bit more caricature there?
I think there's definitely still a bit of caricature work that happens there, but it's a different caricature. You know? It's expanding and finding new ground in the space. But remember as well, it's not that I'm not that guy, but it's the fact that I'm not just that guy.
Yeah.
So even when I get to Rap Life, we explore different pockets where now I'm doing songs like Mfazwe Pep. I'm doing songs like
Mdonomund, yeah.
which are like pockets that I'd never
touched on. Yeah.
touched in there. But when you hear it, you're like, okay, he doesn't sound like he's forcing this pocket. He sounds like himself in the pocket, you know? And I think it was a growing, it was a step in growth, essentially, because for me, the type of artist that I envision myself to be, I guess, needed to walk that path. And these are some of the lessons that I was picking up along the way.
Did you feel more of yourself in those pockets?
In Rap Life?
Yeah. Or was there
I think
still
so.
a restriction of some sort where it's like, there's still certain shits that I
think
want
I
to
did.
hit?
No, I do feel like I felt more like myself there.
Fully?
In as far as the self I was aware of.
Ooh, that's fire. Okay.
Yeah, because obviously your idea of self at any given time is what it is, and you're acting within those boundaries. So, I mean, that album, if you look at it, it's a double disc, dog. We threw every color of paint that
Which
we
is
had.
crazy. What was that for? The double disking?
Yeah, so I was obviously working with an executive producer called Nota, who felt like with this project, we need to reach a new height. And he's also looking at it from the perspective of the projects that he's executive produced. And he's like, if I'm working on a project, it needs to be better than everything that I've done in the past. So essentially, he, I guess, then said, yo, let's aim for this, which obviously became a test to me in terms of my artistry. Am I able to make a body of work that's compelling enough to span?
So the double disc was the aim from jump before any music was made. It's not because you had too much music.
No. It wasn't the aim from jump.
Oh.
What I remember was after disc 1, I thought we were done. And this man then convinced me to say, yo, this is great, but let's
keep going.
Let's go back in, you know? And
how did you feel about the let's go back in call? Because you're coming from the let's go back in.
I think, yeah, no, from, I guess how he maybe presented it, he didn't present it in the sense that, yo, let's scrap these 13 and start from scratch. Because if you put it that way, then I'm despondent at that point, you know? And
he said, the shit you did can live.
He's like, yeah, this is dope. This is disc 1. Let's go for double disc in Fana. We need to reach these heights. We need to make sure that this is unprecedented for a debut album. We need to, you know? So he set up an interesting challenge. And for me, obviously, I enjoy like a dope challenge. And as an artist, I did feel like...
Life.
Say that again?
You've been doing this your whole
100%.
life. Yeah.
I felt like it was the test to say, as an artist, we know you can rap, but as an artist, can you actually stretch that far? And so we embarked on that journey, and yeah, it was quite an interesting one. Yeah.
And then at the end of that, you find yourself as collateral, I think is how you expressed it. Or am I wrong?
No, yes. 100%.
Are you then at the end of that story collateral as to what's going on between the other niggas, and then the bricks just fall on you? Or are you tearing some shit down also while shit is being torn down?
So at the end of that, what I realize is that there's a level of rigidness about this structure that I'm finding myself in. And in as much as I'm trying to cut through and have my own journey unfold and have a moment to roll out this project, to finish what we started, to execute the greater vision of the body of work, I'm being met by like structural limitations in the space, you know? So essentially, what then happens is that everything ends up coming to a halt because we couldn't actually carry out the actual thing that we came together to try and execute. So
as a
instead
collective,
yes,
as in all of you,
as a collective, yeah. So I looked at the predicament, and this became clear to me actually after my trip from Egypt, where I started actually seeing the entire picture for what it was. I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm fucked, right?
Yeah.
So not only am I fucked, but there's other acts in the label behind me who are now also becoming more frustrated because you meant to get out the way because we need to move as well, you know? But it's almost like ibhasi lakho listagile.
And manje kulokhu ekukhandwe lakho
Are we gonna
nathi sifuna
finesse, you
ukuhamba.
know? So I then faced a scenario, a situation where I felt like here, in order to save everyone, I need to self-sacrifice, which is like a crazy.
Yeah, that's
it's a crazy thing, right? It's like I can't jump out of another ship. So I have to go down with the Titanic.
You went down playing like the band out there.
Yeah, because if I jump out of another ship, then okay, you're the ship jumper
You're the ship
guy.
jumping guy, yeah.
Nah? So clearly winning king.
So you're saying you saw the iceberg, knew that it was bigger underneath the water,
100%.
but then just sat there and said,
100%. 100%. Because I was aware of one thing. The fact that we had not maximized our resources in terms of resources being talent on the label. So if this label has 5 artists on it, and we've only set one on fire, and there's another one who's in the pipeline, and we cut off that pipeline for the first one, for the next one, it's only a matter of time before that initial artist reaches a point whereby they plateau and then they either come down or they stagnate, and then the baton somehow has to be passed on to the artist. It's almost like nature requires, if you gather 5 artists here, nature requires for there to be a passing of the thing. Yeah. But if you don't pass that thing around, my man.
So the fire is the man
100%.
The match is gonna.
Yeah. So for me, I could see that, and I knew what you. Oh well. This is what's inevitable about this scenario. I didn't even know what to do in that moment. I said, God be with me. I'll have to climb up from the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. And see if there's anything left to salvage from that point, you know? Yeah. So
which is it fair to say that's the work you've been left to have to do since?
Yes. Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is, because I think that journey runs concurrently with your journey in life of self-discovery, right? So you're learning yourself through all these experiences that are happening to you. So you end up in a scenario where you're like, okay, it's just me now. And I gotta figure out what I'm about, what do I have around me? Who are the people I'm moving forward with? And where are we headed? And essentially, that then becomes what happens the minute we go into COVID. The minute we go into COVID,
your ship
everything
crashes
stops.
and then you get COVID. That's crazy.
The ship stops and then the world stops.
So you can't even jump out and swim immediately.
Nah. It's
you just have to wait for help.
You have to wait for help, or you have to try and make something happen. So for me, during that time is when I did the most work on myself. It's, in as much as I'd been working on myself, but I think during that quiet time is when I could really delve deeper into who I am. And I think that's when, obviously, I was working on the album that came thereafter, which is Father of Zen. Yeah.
As a conspiracy nigga, did you do any panic buying at that time? Did you think the world
stocking
was
up on what?
Like stocking up, yeah.
Let me try and remember.
Meat, JD.
No, I didn't. But for me, I sort of understood. I think I sort of understood and was at peace with what was happening for some reason.
What did you understand it to be?
I understood that we've brought about a set of circumstances in the world that requires everything to come to a halt. So that each man can sit with themselves and introspect and really come to terms with everything. So even from a personal level, I also think from a cultural level, so in the music space, I do feel like musically, music is a soundtrack, right? It inspires how people go out and act. Art imitates life. The music that rose to popularity and became the most widely spread music then dictates the culture.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most positive tunes. It was quite destructive.
Well, what are the references?
I think pick any song, dog. Especially in circular music.
Give me anything.
Pick any song. Pick a song.
What songs were going crazy at that time?
Pick a song. Auntie, let's go there.
Yeah. Oh, you promoting...
What are we promoting?
You promoting the Stagwa Man living.
How sustainable is that one? It wasn't sustainable for me.
What do you mean?
As a man.
What do you mean by that?
It wasn't sustainable. Just that lifestyle brought me to a halt. That lifestyle brought me to a halt where my health was now something that I had to be very, very...
The drinker man living.
100%. I had to be now very, very aware of my health, you know?
Yeah, until you started going through some shit. I remember pulling up on you and you had shit going on with you. And it's like, yeah, hey, when I sip, really.
Yeah, so the sip just became something I had to cut out.
Were you like coughing or something when you sip? Or what was happening?
No.
You had some
it wasn't
shit that
coughing.
was going on.
What was it?
Yeah, something was off about you when you sip. Because I remember you saying, yeah, whenever I sip, this is what happens.
Yeah, it was just bodily discomfort, you know? And I think it's your body letting you know that you've ran this race, my man. But another thing with me that I became, I think that added fuel to everything was the fact that my water consumption was non-existent, you know? So you can imagine everything that I'm pouring into my body.
Yeah, full-time Jala man.
In fact, if we actually, from 2012 to when I decided to cut the nonsense, Fana, lean. Even during the lean days, I wasn't a water drinking man.
There was no vodka.
So imagine how many organs that I've actually just deteriorated in my body. Then you move on to the Chwala man. You're still not flushing it out with water. You move on to the weed. You're still not flushing it out with the water. You're still moving like you are immune to these
like all these
worldly
things just
things.
do
Like,
nothing.
yeah, like you're God's favorite. When are you everything's just passing through you. You know? So obviously the body caught up with all of that. And I had to put everything down, bro.
Yeah.
Put everything down.
And put everything down, the era started, what was that? Was that 2020 or what?
So alcohol I put down 2020. Yeah.
Just said
Said an hour.
To this day.
Hour. Sober man, yeah.
Fire.
So
what,
yeah,
I'm gonna clap it up for that.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, dog. I had to do it to save me.
Yeah.
I had to do it to save me. And you
realized you needed saving at that 100%.
Point.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And the jet? How long did that take? So the jet,
I put it down probably 2021. I did that for like a year. Then I came back. And then I'd probably rock for 6 months and then put it down for another 3. But I think towards the end of it, I was also like someone who was actively creating environments or scenarios where I was exposing myself to the least amount of it. So I think in my last year of it, I was a one puff guy.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I remember the one puff guy era.
One puff guy. This is simply because my body was telling me, Uti mfana, hang it up. So when I'd smoke, excruciating bodily pain.
Yeah.
Excruciating bodily pain. But we push through because Indota must, you know? But it's definitely me ignoring everything.
All the signs.
That's telling me, yo, nah.
It's yo.
You know? So I even got to a point where I'd flip a coin. It would depend on the coin whether or not I would actually smoke or not. And if the coin said, nah, then nah.
Let the coin decide.
Yeah. So last year, around June, is when I decided I'm done. And that...
From your one puff, man?
Yeah.
And coin flips?
100%. Because I think the bodily pains just became too much, dog. I literally had an episode where I felt like I was actually dying. You know?
And what are you feeling? Where is the pain?
Chest, heart.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
And that's uncomfortable. Yeah, that becomes scary if
100%.
You're feeling something in that area. It's like, oh shit, I'm about to go out.
So I was like, hey, bro, I have to make new agreements with myself. And I have to literally start shaping the new man that I need to step into the path of the new man.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what I did, dog.
And you already, so the Chola man you dropped before you had your first kid, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then second kid was what, last year or it was just now though?
My kid is 1 and 3 months, 1 and 2 months.
So
it was 2013, end of 2023, end of
13 is crazy.
Yeah, so I was still in there with the trees. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what do the kids make you wanna stop fucking around with?
Oh, everything. My time, my energy,
And you sit at the crib, nigga, no? Heavily. Or is
I think
that
I've
a
become that.
misconception?
I've become that. I'll tell you like a weird story. So for the first 10 years of my life, I think I was an extrovert.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
First outside,
having the time of your life.
fishing, climbing trees in the neighborhood, catching birds, all sorts of adventures. I think when I turned 10, I had like a level of my spirit calming down. So what happened was when I turned 10, we moved from Zonderwater, which is in Cullinan, and we moved to Boksburg prison. Yeah. So when I got there, a lot calmer now. I'd still be outdoors, still be doing my thing. But what would happen was the kids I was friends with used to always come fetch me. And normally we'd play at my crib. So if we're playing soccer, if we're playing cricket, it's happening here at the crib. So when I moved from there when I'm 15, and I moved to Sun City, Joburg. When I got there, I didn't want to go outside and make new friends. I was tired. And I discovered hip hop.
Yeah. You had something to do at the crib.
I'm on the computer, I'm listening to this genre, dog, and I'm starting to write. And it's really when I started honing now this craft that I ended up obviously practicing. So I think my work requires me, and the type of artist that I am, because I like to do stuff myself. I like to record myself. And now because I can make beats myself, I'm in the house, bro. You know?
There's nothing to go outside for.
It's like I can't set up outside, firstly. Like, how am I going to soundproof that, you know? Yeah. So, yeah.
Is that the only thing you do for yourself now? Is rap? Like, have you picked up any new things that are about you?
That
you get into?
Yeah, I've obviously picked up things like chess. Chess occupies a lot of my time now. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, you did whoop me at Zen's birthday.
Don't take it too seriously though. I told you why not. I told you why not to take it too seriously.
Why not take
what too seriously? Because we're on two different journeys. And your goals are not the same as my goals. So I could have whooped you, but I'm failing in terms of my goals.
Also, whooping me was nothing. It was just like
it's not that.
It's light work.
It's not about whipping the man. It's about unlocking the goal that I'm aiming at.
Yeah. Which is what? If you don't mind
and for you, it shouldn't be about being whipped by the man. It should be about the personal journey that you aim at.
Which it is, yeah. So, but you still take your whooping and say, oh, okay, all right.
So for me, my personal journey is, it's a crazy one, dog. I want to reach, obviously, a certain rating.
Chess-wise.
Yeah. And from an age perspective, your chances, the older you are like ridiculous, you know? Yeah. So for me, that excited me even more because that's why I got into hip hop. I was like, I'm terrible at hip hop. Let me go in. Let me see. So even this chess thing, the odds are stacked against me. I mean, Time Alarm has been on my case to play chess since I was young. And I'm just imagining, had I started then, I probably would have clocked my handle, you know? But I think I needed to focus on what I focused on and then take the breather and then focus on chess so that when I get back to rapping.
Yeah.
The chess man.
The chess man is a deadly man.
Yeah. So essentially, that's what I've been doing.
Funny enough, I was about to ask you, like, don't you think you would have handled your shit better if you were a chess man? Like,
definitely.
The whole journey. Would have killed it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But would I have been, from a rap perspective, if I look at the hours I poured into my craft, would I have been the same rapper that I was in the journey? Probably not.
No. If you change anything, you change everything.
100%. So yeah, but so chess occupies a lot of my time. I'm doing a bit of carpentry. You know?
Crazy. What?
Yeah. So I reached the point in my life where I was like, what to do? What would Jesus do?
Quickly.
So I was like, he was a carpenter. So let's mess with that, you know? So I'm getting into that.
I'm fucking dead. Because as it's simmering in my mind, that's actually crazy. Like, that's fire.
Yeah.
Because if he was a carpenter, there's something there.
Right?
I see what you're If that is what he was, there's something there.
So it's unlocking me, dog. It's unlocking me in a real way. Obviously, doing a lot of...
Wait, how long now, the carpentry?
Now, it's quite recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite recent. Just started.
What can you make? Like a chair for one of the kids?
No, it's more recent than that, bro.
Okay.
So I'm still undergoing a course where I'm actually just equipping myself with the knowledge.
So what does that mean? Like,
so I'm studying it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so doing a bit of that.
So you haven't touched any wood yet?
No, I have touched wood. Touch wood. No, I have touched wood, you know? But it's for something minor. There's nothing crazy that I've done there. Yeah.
Okay.
A bit of carpentry, a bit of crocheting with my wife.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
seen that.
Getting into that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, dog. I'm getting into also a bit of fishing as well. Like,
fire.
I haven't started anything, but intention-wise, I've set my sights on it because there's a dam close to the crib.
Yeah.
And I've gone out there a couple of times, but I realized, if I'm out here just reading a book or out here just making a beat, I'm not fully utilizing this space.
The space, no?
Yeah, so what if I set up my fishing line and actually get this fishing thing going while I'm making a beat or reading a book? Then, yeah, bro. So essentially that's what I'm doing. Yeah, and
a lot of stillness in the things you seem to
lot of stillness.
Is that intentional?
No, it's not.
It's just who you are?
I think it could be who I am, yeah. Because I think those are the things that I gravitate towards, you know?
Because that's a lot of sit down and do this.
Yeah.
Like, not any...
No running around.
No. No noise, no just sit, crochet.
Yeah, well, there's noise in terms of the music. You know, you have to kind of pull the noise out of the silence too. So
fire.
I think that's still a big part of it because I'm now also looking to like really sharpen from a production standpoint. So the making of beats, even like mixing and mastering, but the mixing and mastering I've really just put at an arm's length. Like the beats are probably like the main priority that I'm actually actively knocking out. So
more main than the rapping right now.
No.
The main thing is still the main thing.
I think right now I rap on call, right? So I used to go through a phase where if I wouldn't rap for about 6 months, when I touch the pen again, it would be awkward.
Awkward.
It would be awkward because it's almost like you have to kind of find your feet and maybe run through 2 verses before you can find the fire verse, you know?
Yeah.
But I think I've worked past that level, and now when I make a beat I like, then the verse, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be on demand, whether I've
been
off rap for like 6 months or not. When I need it, I can call upon it, and it's something that I can do when I need to. And I think that was an important thing for me to actually develop myself holistically as an artist. And from holistically, I mean the other side of it, being able to produce the song from nothing, from the first hi-hat, my man, you know? It was very important, dog, because I think I've got a very unique approach to my expression that I sort of need to tailor make a lot of the things and get as weird as I need to get, you know? And when I look back on my journey, I also realize that it's very tough for you to put me in a stable and have people oversee my artwork and say, yeah, let him color in between these borders. Because that's not the nature of artists I am. I think I'm here to like really be disruptive in my art, which I think for the longest of time, I've spent time trying to tame, you know, but during that time, I think I was also just finding my voice and also aligning specific things about understanding my artistry, like how to project, how to deliver this verse, how to fully just unpack the idea in your mind, you know? For me, like when I spoke about the fact that I never used to listen to hip hop at all, even when I became a rapper, I was never really a guy who would listen to hip hop that much, especially for inspiration purpose. So I would much rather listen to a song by Tamia or Brent, and that would inspire me more than hearing another rapper go off. And only recently did I realize what that was about, you know? So I think I'm more inspired by the moments of magic. So when you listen to a Brandy song and she hits that note, my man, it's undeniable. You can feel, you can feel that electricity.
Yeah.
It connects with you, right? Whereas when you're listening to rappers, very few have the magic.
Yeah.
Very few have the magic, you know? And I realize it's when you do come across the artists or the rappers that have the magic, when you're listening to him, Fana, it feels like you connected to the Most High. In that moment, you're in a trance and you feel like, yo, this feels so amazing. Like, I might not understand what he's saying, but the entire thing that he's doing,
what he's giving me here
feels incredible.
I can feel it run through my body. Yeah.
And that's it. So for me, for the last 2 years, Mfana, if you check my Spotify, what you listen to over a year, for the last 2 years, my number one artist that I listen to, her.
Yeah. Oh, that's fire.
Her. When I listen to her, Mfana, it's reminiscent, firstly, of the R&B that we grew up on. So even the texture of her voice, outside of the style of R&B, just for me, I feel like she's the R&B voice that's reminiscent of that time, you know? So that's essentially what I do. Sometimes what I'll do in studio is if there's a TV in there, I'll maybe play I'll search 2023, 2024 EPL best goals.
Okay.
and I let that play on mute.
That gives you the same level of electricity.
Anna, bro,
I feel you.
Just watching that can light you up.
I feel you.
And that's essentially how, I source the inspiration, and I try to kind of find it when I need to find it. And I think the music that I'm making now, I think I've found the perfect blend of like just how I need to present the music. It's unapologetically me, dog.
Which is the best music any artist can make.
100%.
Like even when you're talking about being disruptive, I think everybody is meant to be that.
Disruptive.
Yeah. It's not supposed to be a matter of people coming in and falling into the line. Or go to, now I'm coming in villages to come do this thing like niggas have been doing. Because everybody is different.
But because of, obviously, the system, because
the
of
commercialization,
the capitalist nature of it all, there's things that work for the masses because they've been conditioned in that way. And then there's things that maybe are a bit more niche.
Yeah, facts. So do you agree that, or do you think that the getting married and being a family man motion stifles the enthusiasm to be...
I heard you ask Questa that.
Like to be the hardest, the biggest rapper in the country or the greatest?
It definitely does, yeah.
Because, I mean, even when you think about outside of just us, like for me, the biggest moment I saw it in where I was like, oh shit, was like even with the Usher. Like when that happened to Usher, when he got married, it's the game just turned away. He literally had to get divorced to come back. He literally got divorced for this to start jamming him again and seeing him as Usher again.
But is it the audience or is it in the head of the artist?
Which is what I was going to ask you. What happens there, do you think?
Oh shit, only I can answer it, nah?
Hey, excuse me.
Jeez. It could be both. It could be both. Because I can tell you, in the head of the artist, firstly, in terms of how you can move, right? Bit different.
A lot different.
And in how you're selling yourself. Firstly, I can't be married but still be selling. Even if it's fine at home, they like, no, it's fine.
Green light, yeah.
But it's inauthentic to the audience. But the audience know, you've got a wife and kids.
But it's a married man.
You know? So you almost have to... It's almost like we have to... It's a chapter that's unwritten. For hip-hop.
It's something that still has to be figured out?
Yes. Because even in the States, the guys who are married... No. But in terms of how they portray in the music, they're still bachelors. It's like, yo, Tip, listen to guys like Tip, listen to guys like Jay, listen to...
But Jay is not a bachelor in the music.
Okay, fair.
He's a my wife rapper.
Fair, right? Yeah. He's probably the only exception.
Yeah. But Tip also...
Listen to guys like Cole. Cole is a married man, but he also gives you the baddie references in the songs. And you're like... And he's a conscious rapper.
Not too many.
But he still lets one off.
He'll sneak one in there.
And why does he feel that pressure?
For me, it's different because I feel like Tip is like that in his marriage. I feel like he's in a marriage where he's low-key still...
Yeah, we are true.
He's low-key still...
That's 100% correct.
Who else is a married rapper? Because Cole he cleaned it up for the most part.
He did. But he still lets one off. where he makes you wonder, which is this a recent?
But then maybe that's a reflection of who he is in the marriage, Ruti.
He becomes the problem child.
No, not. Because if he was, then the mentions would be more
many,
frequent.
No?
But I think obviously he's not a perfect man, so he may catch one on the loose every now every once every 3 years, maybe. Well,
yeah. So
I committed that one time.
So what I realize is the fact that narrative is obviously a very niche one. The narrative,
I'm a married man.
Yeah, it's not Chatopi.
it's not.
The fans, firstly. A large percentage of your fans are most likely women.
Yeah.
As soon as you're off the market, fananabo, they're signing out. So you left there with amanegas at the sessions, and it becomes just a nigga session. And there'll be those fans female fans maybe who are also married, who are like, no, I get it. It's authentic. It's,
Because even with Cole, leading towards his marriage was the leading towards the rebrand.
Yeah.
Of the leaving behind, of the even trying or attempting to look fancy or live that lifestyle. Even the music got out the club and he started being... That's when he niched it
and I think that's authentic of him. I think that's...
which is why I fought for him when you kind of put him in he's still...
And I'm basing it on the references of the slides.
Yeah, just the slides. I mean, hey.
He feels the pressure because he wants to appeal to the kids,
Yeah.
And I can't slide him for that, dog. I think hip-hop is a young man's sport. Simply because I think the elder statesmen haven't really found the pocket.
Very few. Jay has created it.
Who?
Jay.
Yeah.
I think Jay has been able to show niggas every step of growth.
How to finesse.
When he got into his 30s and stopped doing the spinning rims and the chrome and wearing the throwback jerseys, he literally told the niggas in the music, dog, you can't expect that of me. I'm off that. And then when he felt like, I don't have to rap every year anymore, now I'm becoming a businessman, he came back and told niggas, yo, I'm on my businessman rap.
Yeah, he's definitely... So Jay, you're very correct in saying he's unlocked that pocket, He's moving in the niche space. I think it's maybe the fact that Jay still has a commercial presence that they don't really speak about the fact that, 444, had we not sold those things to Samsung, it probably would have suffered numbers-wise. Simply because the narrative is... it's not blockbuster. I mean, why did they make sure, out the gate, Samsung, copper mill?
You don't think they were just trying to...
Nah, they were trying to safeguard.
They were saving face for him.
They were going to suffer. Because the narrative is very, So what they're not telling you about that pocket that Jay is in is that it's very niche.
Yeah.
And I understand the fact that it's very niche. And I think as rappers get older, they need to be comfortable with being in the niche spaces. So the niche thing forces you to think differently. So if I know, now that I'm niche, I'm only doing shows with maybe like 300 people. I know the people who are showing up are an audience who's grown up with me. What I need to then, business model-wise, look at is I'm not just selling them a stream. No, these people have more buying power than the university kid. So I'm selling these people something different, dog. So you can then sell them an experience. You can then sell them lifestyle-related things.
Yeah.
Which they will gladly be able to support simply because you've got that rapport with them. And for them, it's like the whole narrative of like, firstly, for me, I think the narrative of like, yo, where's the rollout? Do you need a rollout for your favorite artist? When your favorite artist is going to drop?
Not at all.
You don't, right?
No.
So when you're locked in with an artist, when you're a fan of an artist, Mfana, you're just looking for an opportunity to catch them. And the older you get, the less time you have to be catching them at every given turn. You need to look at, okay, I've got life happening, I've got kids, I've got my own responsibilities. If I can only catch this man once a year, where is it? Okay, we're going to Carnival City. Okay, he's selling a DVD. Okay, he's selling merch. Okay, this is the product. He wrote a book. Okay, and that's how you support it. And I think Uche, simply because his story, I think maybe is being told in like a different way. We're not really being exposed to that side of the fact that the niche market is very is very tricky, because the older your content gets, you're speaking to fewer people.
Yeah. I mean, there's a good number of older people.
Yeah, true.
So it doesn't have to be fewer.
But no, there's few, dog. I mean, you're not speaking to all old people.
You don't think you can reach them? Like, so for instance, okay, maybe not on a spit bars at you level, but I look at someone like Java. I feel like Java as a voice speaks to, like, I feel like adults across the board are comfortable listening and coming to the show.
100%. Yeah, I think the style of music Java Vele is it's far from niche.
Yeah.
You know?
So you think is that just a rapper opinion, the fewer people?
Yeah, because I do think hip hop is like it's
for kids.
Yeah. It's like that's who it's, you know? Yeah. It's for kids, and as soon as you stop saying things that relate to the kids in fun, as soon as you start speaking the things that speak to who you are, where you are in your life, the people who resonate with that will show up, and there's not a lot. And they're not all gonna show up.
Yeah, not everybody, not all of
Only
them.
Only the ones outside. Who are your fans are gonna say, "Hey, we here." Yeah. Shout out. You're talking about the fact that your kid just graduated from crash. Now, I went through that. Yeah, bro. So,
what's your takeaway from the Trizzy and KiD engagement?
We're at a turning point where I think people want music that builds. Yeah. I think the party had to die. The party had to die, because if you look at what was happening at the party, it's
they were jamming auntie out there.
It's not right. It's not right, dog. There's people who took advantage of the party to serve their own interests. There's people who exploited other people. And the cultural ripple effect of that leaves us with like a very toxic state of hip hop. Essentially, if you look at the music that cuts through now, internationally, firstly, just look at the American rap scene right now. Look at the new generation of kids, the type of songs that they have to put up with, like the audience. Substance-wise, Mfana, it's not uplifting. It's not building anything, you know? And I think that is like it's the offspring of a culture that Drake was very much like spearheading. I think we definitely are facing a turning point where people want something that's going to build them. And maybe that won't be for long. Maybe that's going to be a season or two, and then the fuck shit will be back again. But I think it's a welcome turn. And I think it might have to do with the fact that during COVID, we realized which there's a problem. I think everyone realized which there's a real problem in society.
Mm-hmm.
But the tendency of humans is to try and escape, right?
Yeah.
So we escape. We back doing the shit. So as soon as the lockdown got released, we trying to head straight back to the club.
Put the self-work down.
Yeah. Self-work one side.
Back outside.
We're in the club. We're doing the very same thing that landed us there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, obviously, there's people who were doing the work. And that voice became more overpowering. And it's slowly now able to then outshine the voice of the club. Also because the things that were happening in the club now are coming, like the skeletons are starting to, like the chickens are home to roost, you know?
Yeah.
So that on its own is like something that's dying out by itself. And it's got...
naturally.
Yeah, it's got skeletons that we can all view and see. And it's like, yo. So if you are about that lifestyle, you kind of have to pipe it down and you have to kind of look at how you can, I don't know, redress some of the issues that came up.
Are you saying that to say that's why KiD won?
No, definitely not. I think he represented the other voice. I think obviously Drake represented the other voice. I think the reason he won was he just tactically outmaneuvered the guy.
The chess man.
He like, and for me, I think that also speaks to maybe he's the more sober guy in the interaction.
Definitely.
And so he could sit and look at the engagement. He could, in fact, maybe play out the fight in his head before they even got into the ring. And that's how he knew, Swan. That's why I think the first song...
This one's gonna do this, that, and that, and then...
The first song, I think, for me, that he put out kind of set the tone because I think he was fighting on too many levels, dog. He set the emotion.
Who? You're referring to...
KiD.
KiD, yeah.
He said euphoria. I'm setting... This is how I'm opening. A feeling of euphoria. This is how I'm encapsulating what we're about to get
What we're about to get into, yeah.
Mfana, in a battle, the guy who's having the most fun is the guy who's going to win. The guy who's having the most fun.
Yeah.
He was having the most fun.
Yeah, because he wasn't as...
Yeah, he wasn't...
he wasn't fighting from the...
Anything but...
Yeah.
He had the most fun. And I think, obviously, how he started the battle with how he ended it. Ended it dancing, segumnandi.
Is it over for the boy?
I think there's still people that he speaks to. So, it's tunes essentially.
Yeah.
Dramatically so, you know?
Dramatically.
And I think the battle with himself, dog, because the fact that it's tunes essentially is gonna affect him and how he shows up. And I think...
Yeah, because he was enjoying the fruits of...
Yeah, of being
of
the propped
cake.
up guy.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
So
having that ripped off of him is
good. It's definitely going to affect him. I think we'll definitely see a couple of last kicks of a dying horse, but it'll never be the same.
Sheesh. Okay. And how do you summarize the last 15 years of your life? And have your dreams come true?
A lot of them have. Yeah. A roller coaster ride. A roller coaster ride. I was sitting actually thinking about it, right? And I was like, you know, when they decided to sprinkle you and me into SA hip hop, they did quite a thing. And I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like adding 2 new kids to the sandbox. And these 2 new kids have specific skill sets about them that are going to affect this culture forever.
Mm-hmm.
How I view your participation in the space is you're the guy who is being, right? And in that being, there were things that you could naturally just pull out slang to shape the culture, to say, the game, we should move like this, we should behave like this, lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
I remember actually a funny thing with, I think us bumping into Reason the one time at
Johannesburg. Yeah.
And he couldn't believe, Uti. So you guys actually
Live like this off
live
camera.
this thing,
Mm.
and I look at those intangibles that you bring, and I look at the fact that you brought certain toys to the sandbox that no one had even imagined. I look at the fact that how I show up to the sandbox is very different. For me, I'm here to play with the toys on the sandbox, but how I'm going to play is unlike any man has played.
Yeah.
So you've got that mashup. You've got a kid who's bringing very unique toys to the playing ground. And you've got a kid who plays unlike any other kid.
Who plays unique.
And those are the kids who come into the space and they set a ripple effect into the space. So when you ask me, have my dreams come true? I can sit and tell you a lot of them have. Because one of my dreams was the fact that, you know me very well. For me, I've never been a fan of celeb culture. Like, I've just been, this is what we have to do, but I'm not going to revel in it. It's not really, because I've held the belief that I don't think anything is special about me. I have to be famous. Like, why am I famous? I've always believed we all need to be famous.
Fire.
Every man walking needs to be famous. Now, if you look at the current times we're living in, who's not famous?
Everybody's famous.
Mfana, any man can hop off the street
and just
become the biggest thing out there, And
literally, paras were going up last year. Last year was
imagine.
Last year was a para year. Like, we had like 2 or 3 that were booming. Like,
for me, is that not a dream of mine where I'm just seeing everyone really
that was
going
your dream.
up? Yeah, everyone going up, and
you wanted the paras to go crazy.
I feel like everyone's special, dog.
Which is a fact.
But I really felt it. It wasn't like a cool saying that I heard. That's why I've never felt like, because I'm in the space, like I'm better than
the next man.
Than the next man. Because I know now there's something about you, you'll find it. And then that'll put you on the platform that you feel like you should be on, So there's a lot of dreams in Fana. I never firstly dreamt that I'd get into SA hip hop, let alone impact it.
Yeah.
That's
crazy, man.
That's a big one.
It is.
That is monumental for me, I think another dream of mine is just being the rapper that I am today. Like, for me, Mfana, there's no greater joy than just knowing that you're nice and just being comfortable with
and being at peace with
whether we are trending or not. The being nice supersedes everything.
That's a fact.
That supersedes everything.
That's a fact.
Because when I started, I wanted to be nice.
That is why
I didn't want to be as famous as Eminem. That's not what made me. No, I was attracted to skill set, this thing that he does. Yeah, boy. So being able to clock that dream and still being alive and fun to be able to witness the culture shift in the way that it's shifting, still being able to contribute in the little way that I can contribute. I think for me, dog, what more does a man want?
What more can a man
To be honest,
cry for?
what more?
Yeah.
You know? So there's definitely still music that is gonna come, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think I looked at my career like a couple of months ago and I thought about, have I really done it? Mm-hmm. And I could honestly say to myself, okay, there's a thing I've done, but it's not the thing. It's not the thing that I feel like I've been called to do, you know? So I think with the music that I'm going to be dropping now, it's definitely me getting back on track to do the thing. The thing, you know, to be the artist. And I think I've finally assembled all the pieces that make me...
Because it is a puzzle.
100%. And now I'm really, I think, in the best position to like really showcase all of that. And I think development-wise, as a person, I've reached a certain level where I'm able to better execute that than when I was in the past.
That's fine.
Yeah, so
what does
new music definitely on the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what does that mean? Are you working on an album or you're just taking your time creating?
There's a lot of projects, dog. I'm
That's
working on 5, 6 different projects at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
And I've kind of brought that problem onto myself simply because I've had like the caricature version of myself and I've got caricature fans who just want, give us the caricature.
Who need that, yeah.
Yeah, so I need to service the caricature guys with a project that's just strictly caricature. And I might even... So what I was looking at doing was I need to retire the act Kidex. And I need to step into whatever is beyond that. Because I think the act Kidex, for me, has a lot to do with the caricature stuff.
Fully.
But what's beyond that is like, it's a whole new identity. And I'm still trying to find the name. If it needs to be maybe my actual government, you know? But I think the music that I put out under that identity will not be for mainstream, chasing mainstream things, you know? I think there will be Kidex music, which will be for mainstream purposes. But I might even just throw out a mascot that's going to be Kidex. Like, so Kidex is now that mascot. It's not me anymore.
You don't show up. And
I'm the guy formerly known as, and I created that thing. Yeah. And because
which is what art is.
100%. Because I do feel like the calling to step into the next chapter of myself artistically is very loud, and I need to absolutely execute on that.
Yeah, I think as an artist, you should have that liberty to be able to create something but not have to be it. And that's 100%. What being an artist that performs kind of boxes you into. It's like because you perform it in the body that you walk around in, you have to become it.
Yeah.
Unlike maybe movie directors, for instance. Like they can make a piece of art and leave it there and come back with a different one the next time, and no one's gonna feel like, oh, but where's the one from the last movie that we...
Yeah, so... Yeah, those are just some of the things that I'm trying to figure out right now. But exciting times, man. I do think...
That does sound exciting.
Yeah, I do think there's a gap in the market that only I can fill, you know? I do think there's a gap. And I told you at the Hip Hop Flow gig, there's a gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, bon? So it's important, Fana. We have to just heed the call.
Full speed ahead.
100%.
Kidex, ladies and gentlemen. Choppin It with Bhuda T, 2025, season 4, nigga.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's go! That was fire.